Hi, in today's video we're going to be doing some property jargon busting. So I know this is a common thing that it used to bug me when I first got started in property, where people would keep using all these abbreviations and jargons and I wouldn't have a clue what people were talking about. So if you're new to property, you're probably going to experience this as well. So I've got a young property investor, he's just started out here today with me, and he said he's got the jargon challenge which he's given to other people, and so let's see then if I can answer these questions. I've not heard what he's going to give me, but hopefully by me answering you can learn what some of these abbreviations mean. All right, let's take it away. What is ROI?
Yeah.
So ROI stands for return on investment, and it's basically what, as a property investor, or even if you're not buying property but you're doing creative strategies, like I do a lot of creative strategies, ROI is really what we use to measure our return. So let's say that I'm going to spend £100,000 on a property, then whatever my monthly rent is that I'm getting in would be my return on investment. So the complicated thing about ROI is there is dozens of different ways to measure ROI. So for me personally, I'm very different to most people. I only measure ROI on my cash invested, which most property investors will never agree with or do, but I really only care about my cash invested, because if I've got money borrowed from the bank or mortgages and things like that, I'm not really interested in what the ROI is on that money that I don't own. So what I'm concerned with is the ROI on my cash invested, and I'm always looking for at least 15%, if not 20% if I'm buying, and if I'm doing creative strategies, I'm usually looking for about 100% or more return on investment. Okay, what's the next one?
The next one is EPC. What is that?
EPC is Energy Performance Certificate. So this is what you're going to need if you're renting out a house. They last about 5 years in the UK. So every 5 years or so, you're going to need to get a new EPC. And it basically is for renting a property or buying or selling a property. So the person that you're let's say buying the property from will need to provide you with a energy performance certificate, so you know what the energy rating on that property is. You've also got to give that certificate to any tenants by law that you're renting that property to. Next one.
PCM.
PCM is not used that often, but it stands for per calendar month. So for example, the rent is £1,000, PCM is £1,000 per calendar month.
What about LL?
LL, again, that's not used very often. It's used more in rent-to-rent, serviced accommodation, and it stands for landlord. Yeah.
What about CT?
CT. CT will be council tax. Council tax, yeah.
HMO?
HMO is very commonly used. It stands for House of Multiple Occupancy. And basically, that's different to, say, a normal standard family let, or let's say that you're family renting a house, that would be called a single let, or let's say that you're renting an apartment or a flat or something like that. That's also a single let. We don't tend to abbreviate single let. It's not SL or anything like that. It's just called a single let. So HMO is where it's very different. It's not just one family. It will be, say, 4 or 5 people that are renting that property by the room. So it's a house of multiple occupancy. And also there's 2 types of HMO. So you've got an unlicensed HMO and you've got a licensed HMO. It would take me about 10 minutes to explain the difference between the two. So it's worth checking that out on another one of my videos so you can understand what those 2 things mean, because they're very different.
DS?
DS will be deal sourcing. So that's a creative property strategy where you source properties from landlords that you're not going to buy yourself, but then you will package it up as an investment and then you will sell that onto another landlord. It's a very popular property strategy. I do it, I teach it, I've got a business that does it.
APR.
APR is annual percentage rate. So if you've got a mortgage, or if you're getting a mortgage, you'll see, say, 4.5% or 6%, or if you're really unlucky, 6%, 7, 8%, and it will say APR. So that stands for annual percentage rate. So that's how much interest that you're going to pay on that loan. So let's say that you take a mortgage for 100,000, which I know is a tiny mortgage in this day and age, but you have a 5% APR on it. To make it simple, you're going to be paying £5,000 of interest on that 100,000 per year.
BTL.
Okay, BTL is buy to let, which is basically buying a property in order to let it out.
R2R.
Yeah, so R2R is really called RTR. I don't know where the two came from. A lot of people say that, but that stands for rent to rent. It's one of the main property strategies that I do, actually, so I know a lot about rent to rent. Rent to rent is basically renting a large house and turning it into an HMO, for example. Or you might be a landlord that already has an HMO, and you're going to rent that property from them in order to do rent to rent, in effect. All right, guys, so if you enjoyed the video and you got a lot from it, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications, and love to just get you going with your property journey. All right, take care.